Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. And we have a wild update in the Clayton Echard case. I know, I say it, but it's not hyperbole. It's absolutely insane what's going down on Twitter. A cesspool indeed, but we will be going through some new tweets. The first by county prosecutor who gives an update on the Laura Owens case. And as I'm saying this, I'm realizing I have toys in the background. Again, I'm a working father here, and I've got a little 6-month-old. Oh, by the way, I wanted to share. This is what's so great about our audience. We have such a great audience. Mimi from Pittsburgh sent this really cute Halloween pajama set for the baby. How cute is that? So we had to take a photo for Mimi. Thank you, Aunt Mimi. We appreciate that. Just took that photo. I haven't changed. My eyes are glassy because we're preparing to fly in a few hours. So we have a lot going on, and I have not slept, but that is the life of a parent of a 6-month-old. Our baby decided, you know what? Sleep at night? Who needs it? I'm going to just cry. We got the snot sucker. We're doing the whole thing. You know the snot sucker? Where was that when I was a kid? I need a pretty big one for my, beak. All right, so let's get into it. Here's what was said. We know the story. We know the Clayton Echard story. An update on the Laura Owens matter. To me, it's always just surreal when the county prosecutor even mentions her name. Just surreal to me. She said the Maricopa County Attorney's Office is continuing the process of reviewing the referral from Superior Court on the case of Laura Owens. Further information is forthcoming when a charging decision has been made. I'm going to share Laura Owens' attorney's response to this. I'm not kidding when I say it might be the craziest thing that has happened so far. Absolutely insane move by this guy. You would almost think he's not real. And by the way, I'm not angry. I'm trying to limit my carbs, but this is the popcorn, metaphorical popcorn I'm talking about with this case. Unbelievable stuff going on. This is why we keep shining a light on it. And we don't want anyone to bother Rachel Mitchell. By all means, I'm sure she appreciates that we have an eye on what's going on in her county. And also we need to let work get done. But, she hasn't really talked about it in, I don't know, probably a month or so, maybe longer since she gave since she talked about it to the press. And, it's a few days before the election. Maybe she just wants people to know, hey, we're still looking into it. As I reported just a couple days ago, we've got sources that are talking and saying, hey, it's not an if, but a when. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if she will get indicted and charged with any crimes. The, initial crime that they're looking into, as was said here, it was a referral from the Superior Court. That's Judge Mata. Judge Mata laid out her decision and referred Laura Owens for prosecution. It doesn't mean they're going to do that. It just means they're going to go and find all the evidence themselves. Anything outside of that doesn't matter. This whole idea that we're some zany cult, none of that matters. We have elected officials, fair elected officials, whose job it is to put taxpayer money into investigating crimes in their community. I mean, we actually saw that from her right here. She discusses, I think if we go back actually, what her principles are. This is Rachel Mitchell. When it comes to keeping our communities safe, there is no one better to lead the Maricopa County Attorney's Office than Rachel Mitchell. And to be quite honest, what's more important? Now, don't get me wrong. There are other crimes that would be seen as bigger that exist in Maricopa County. They have multiple district attorneys and county attorneys that cover different crimes of financial, domestic, whatever the case may be. And they see fit which are more important. Now, I would argue why, to Rachel, if you're listening, hi, keep doing the great work. We appreciate you. I would argue what is so interesting about this crime is how many times the FBI have gotten involved, how many times Scottsdale police have had to do wellness checks, how many times the domestic violence investigators in Scottsdale have had to go through Reddit accounts that she's accused me and Clayton and other people of being. I'm talking hours, days, weeks, months, maybe even a year have time of bandwidth have gone into 575,600 minutes. So many times are measured that have gone into billable hours for these people that taxpayer funded money goes to keep the community safe. I just imagine we've all had DV issues in it's touched everybody. We all have a spouse, a mom, somebody who's had DV issues. Imagine picking up that phone, needing to call 911, needing to talk to a detective, needing to get a temporary restraining order, needing to use the system that's meant to protect people in need. Imagine all of that. Beep, 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 and it's busy. Why? Because of an abuse of a system. For fraudulent reasons, for coercion, for dating contracts, for all of this BS that's going on. Imagine someone, I don't know what Laura is, 34 years young. Imagine 40 more years of this. I mean, literally imagine the type of sort of shit stain on your underwear that is existing right now in Maricopa County with regards to, really what is a vexatious litigant. Now, I'm going to share the response to this tweet in a second. But first, here's a clip of Reality Steve, Steve Carbone and myself, talking to Rachel Juarez, who is a family court attorney. And she's real great. And she gave her a professional opinion on what's going down and why we might see an indictment. People saw immediately, there's a lot of cases, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, it might be 60-40. There's always like a shadow of a doubt, but we have yet to find one person. And Steve has begged people, come forward. I'll keep you anonymous. Just tell me if you are on her side. And nobody other than people she has paid for or her mother has even defended her.
Yeah, there's nothing defensible here. I mean, and it's because I think of the way she has approached this. She really could have easily gotten out of this, I think, if she had just taken the right approach, which is my bad. I screwed up. I was acting crazy. I did think I was pregnant. Then when I found out I had a miscarriage, I kind of did some weird things. I was still emotional.
Which, by the way, that is still too generous because there's, I'm still standing by the story that I most believe, which is that there was only oral sex. She never believed she was pregnant, and she did something to her HCG to get it to a level that would confirm her pregnancy to him. That's where I stand.
This did not have to go this way for her. It was the absolute doubling down and doubling down and doubling down that is why we're here. If she had walked away gracefully in November, I think the story would have died. I think you guys probably, it still would have been.
We would have taken a victory lap for sure.
Right.
There is nothing better than a Reality Steve victory lap. I'll be honest. I don't know if I do a victory lap well, but he will laugh in your face. He'll do a whole episode. Whatever. But she's not wrong in the sense that Clayton had a contract worked out to say, we will drop these charges if you admit that this whole thing was made up. I don't believe he would have sued her for defamation. He might have had grounds to, but I don't believe he would have done that. In fact, I'm sure if that was in the contract, I will not take future legal action against you, admit that it was over so I can just share this with people. I think that fairly would have been the end of it for him. That wasn't going to happen, and it didn't happen. So the boat has left the port that of reasonable solutions here. Do I still think jail is the right thing? I honestly don't know. I personally would love a system that actually took care of someone's mental health. I don't know if we have that framework. Generally, in our society, in our sort of capitalistic society, we live in a world where families would do that. If Laura Owens was my daughter or sister, you would have a serious intervention, and you would say, you need help. We need to monitor you. We need to get your head on the right space. We need transparency about what you're doing on your social media. We need safeguards to make sure you're not going to sort of dabble in this addiction or this whatever the heck you want to call it is. If someone is a kleptomaniac and they steal nonstop, they're going to steal until they're getting caught. She's been caught red-handed, and past cases have been exposed through the Mike Maricini laptop. And let me tell you something. When this documentary comes out, I'm telling you this right now. If I can have any creative vision whatsoever, it'll be episode 3. And then you'll just have that cold open where you see a guy's like feet walking, and then it pans up and you just see a laptop, and it's a close-up shot of a laptop opening with one of those old Maglite, charging ports, and it says, and then it's just, the Mike Maricini laptop. You know what I mean? Because that's where ovarian cancer was faked. That's where you realized there was photos that came out from those messages that showed she sent the same photo or the same batch of photos from when she was having her fake abortion, and that she ended up using to claim it there was domestic violence issues. I mean, boom, boom, boom. It's all in the laptop. And of course, when it was called out that those could have been faked, we spent the $5,000. You guys did, my audience, our audience right here, spent the $5,000 to verify with a real forensic expert that's real. And it sounds petty to have to do that, but that's what's on the line, is crossing T's and dotting I's, and that's what we're doing here. So anyway, some of the comments. Someone said this in response to what's going on today, and again, I definitely recommend checking out, these support groups that are really keeping everyone on their toes. Internet lawyer is now trolling Rachel Mitchell's Twitter account with a negative story about her and insinuating Rachel's tweet yesterday about Laura was intended to distract from this story. It's honestly astonishing how far he is willing to go, and I keep thinking that the pay cannot be that good. At this point, it's like he wants her to get arrested, even though he said he wouldn't represent her, just when I thought he couldn't get any worse. So here's actually what her attorney said as a response to Rachel Mitchell, a public servant doing her job as an elected county attorney. His response was Rachel Mitchell's tweet about Laura today intended to distract from this story? Inquiring minds want to know. This is insane bullying, really. It's him saying, I will expose you if you expose my client. I will, share areas that there's questions of corruptness with you. And again, by the way, I have full trust in the judicial system. It's slow, it's expensive, but I do have trust in it. And I do think what Rachel Mitchell's doing with this case specifically is the right thing. She's putting investigators into, and putting, time into this case to find out what the hell else might be going on. It might not just be perjury. That might open the door to other areas where there's been abuses of the system. I really don't know. So of course, thankfully, we've got people like this Twitter account saying, why don't you ask Rachel Mitchell? And she tagged Rachel Mitchell. Hey, Rachel, Laura's attorney wants to know if you were trying to distract from the story. The same guy that said you wouldn't pursue criminal charges because you were about to be unemployed. David, I go back and forth on whether you hate your client and are trying to make sure that she is prosecuted to the fullest extent, completely inept, or your need for attention supersedes your duty to your client. Either way, you're not doing her any favors, which is fine by me. Keep exposing those lies. Now, to be quite honest, I haven't wanted to ruffle any feathers with her attorney, because what you realize is if you make an enemy out of somebody, they can then use anything in their system to try to mess with you, even if there's no reasonable, need to do that. I feel like this is insane for a person who's being investigated by prosecutors to essentially have their lawyer provoke the person who could be responsible for putting the weight of the county's judicial system on her. Now, what he's trying to do here is he's trying to make something personal where it's not. He's trying to sow doubt into how ethical she is. I have to say this. Everything I've heard about Rachel Mitchell, look, she's a Republican. And I say that because I've spoken to plenty of people in the Maricopa County system that are on the other side, that are Democrats, and they actually say she does a damn good job. She does a real good job with the job she's been assigned to do. So political differences aside, because Laura's attorney, he's a big anti-Trumper. Now the weird thing about that is, and again, people can be pro anti-Trump. You guys know where I stand on the matter. What's interesting is he employs every technique that he so despises. He employs every technique to try to bully people, to try to come after people that might disagree with whatever he needs. He's the guy at recess that if his team loses, he takes the ball and runs home to mom. That's what we're seeing play out. So he's Laura's biggest fanboy because he was hired to be that. But there is nothing reasonable about what he's doing right here. He should spend time working on these cases that he has, and instead, to an audience virtually of nobody, he's poking and prodding. If you're Laura Owens and you see your attorney poking and prodding at the person who's I can't imagine. So what are they going to do? Are they going to file some sort of claim that Rachel Mitchell's got a bias because maybe she's, watched ABC, which is the network that hosts The Bachelor? Like, how far can he go with his delusion to think this is a good idea? I'm not in the legal world. Although if I was, I would probably be mopping my floor. Like if I actually spent my bandwidth doing this versus all the 99,000 other things that I like to do, I think I would be mopping the floor with this idiot right here. How dumb is he? What could you possibly be getting out of this? I don't understand. It's not like he's monetizing an audience and has some sort of other thing going on. He's not going to get any gigs from this. He's going to be, because I feel like what happens is this. They always talk about how in any sort of legal system, every day you commit like 10 felonies. There's like this, I don't know the exact details, but there's this idea that if they want to find you, they could be literally following you all day long till you roll through a red light and they find a gun in your car that's not registered. There's always something they can get you for. You do not want to be making enemies with the people in his county where he lives, with his kids and his wife. And I'm not saying they're going to do this. I'm just saying it's so dumb of him to put a target on his back. And by the way, I say this with passion, but it's hilarious to me. With all of the sort of bandwidth of trust that we've built up with our audience, it's hilarious to me that he still makes content and with my name in his tweets, saying I spent 20 angry minutes whining about how Laura should go to jail for ruining the life of his male idol, Clayton. By the way, this doesn't bother me. I see through this from a mile away. Clayton's a cool guy, but a male idol? How about Clayton should look at me as a male idol? Like, God bless Clayton and all. I'm like probably a decade older than him. So this idea that I'm looking up to Clayton, I respect him for the way he's handled himself, and he seems like a good guy. And I am really in a position with my platform to try to elevate people of good character and people that are trying to do the right thing. So that's, as a young dad, that's what I want to be as a father, someone who elevates those that do right, those that are seeking justice, those that want the right thing, even if they have nothing to gain from it. That's what I want to elevate. So this whole idea that I've made a killing covering this completely discounts all of the BS that I've had to deal with. And trust me when I say there is a ton that I've had to deal with. So, just a royal fuck you, like a royal fuck you. Is that a term? RFU, royal fuck you, to her attorney here for, trying to troll. It doesn't work. I only respond on my channel where, if he wants to, he can watch my videos, but he's going to have to, pay 2 cents with his ad time to watch, because that's, I'm not responding in any other venue here. But just absolutely wild. He says it's really weird to see how much Clayton enjoys playing the victim, a victim who could have ended this a year ago with $0 in legal fees, but losing fame is hard. And this case has given Clayton a chance to cling to relevance while putting his hate and cruelty on full display. Really wild stuff. Really wild stuff. When we all know what's going to happen. We know what happened to Mike. We know what happened to Greg. Their lives were made a living hell. And we know Clayton and myself, we all saw that was the plan moving forward, that he was going to have to deal with issues with the restraining order for years to come, that every gig that he didn't get, in the back of his mind, he'd wonder if Laura sent off a message. We knew this would happen. So again, I can't say it enough. A royal fuck you. That's all it is. And that's not an angry thought. I couldn't be less angry. You know what I mean? I'm perfectly sober, at least, and again, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm perfectly sober in my mindset when I look at this going, I can't believe it. I'm completely dumbfounded that he would ruffle the feathers of someone who's doing their job. And by the way, we don't know Rachel Mitchell's mindset, her headspace right now. She seems to be like, she got into this position. I don't know her history, but she seems to have gotten into the position of a county prosecutor, an elected position, because she's very well trusted. I cannot imagine if she had any skeletons in her closet that they wouldn't have been exposed in the previous electoral processes that got her to where she is. So Maricopa County is a large county, but it's still just a county. And if I were him, I would make sure I don't ever drive drunk. I would make sure I don't blow through a stop sign, I would make sure that my kids are on the straight and narrow, because he's now got a target on his back. And again, that's not from me. I don't live anywhere near this jabroni. That's from him ruffling the feathers of someone who's just doing their dang job. And it seems to be that that's one of the bigger problems we have here, is he wants to ruffle feathers of people doing their job, like me. This case found its way into my niche. And we cover it, and we will continue to cover it as long as there is anything relevant to cover. So wild stuff indeed. Again, I'm befuddled. Look, if you want to support me, I mean this, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal. We will continue to be covering this. We are a membership funded community, and that's how we get up in the morning and make content, even if it's videos that will get demonetized, even if it's videos that we know aren't going to be highly profitable. We continue to do this. We've done it for over a year covering this specific case, and I'm not going anywhere. You guys know that about me. I am sticking around. I do want to say one thing, though, completely separate from this issue. I'm disappointed, not in a specific person, but I'm disappointed in what seems to be natural collateral damage from a case like this. A lot of people's eyeballs have come to this case from different parts of the world, and there's a lot of conspiratorial thinking because there has been a lot of paranoia, because there's been a lot of alternate accounts, faking of medical documents, all these things. So we know there isn't much bedrock of truth coming from Laura Owen's side, and because of that, it's introduced a lot of conspiracies from audiences. There is a Twitter account that supports Mike Maricini. There's a Twitter account that supports Greg Gillespie. There's one that supports Clayton Echard. People have donated to Clayton's GoFundMe, my GoFundMe. People have been in my Patreon. There's a Reddit community. There is a timeline community that's created a website that literally, has gone to the edges of earth to make sure it's hosted in a secure country that she can't come from. I mean, all these things exist. And yet there's a little bit of a bitterness out there because everyone, from the flock, which has been disbanded because, it's hard for a bunch of anonymous people to come together and play in a sandbox. It's hard. And I'm not the human resources department for everybody. But I was involved in a thread that was so confusing to me, I couldn't understand. And I just basically said, guys, you got to knock it off. And again, maybe it's not my place. Maybe I'm supposed to be just a member that watches a bunch of infighting happening. But I'm here to say so many people have the right intention. So many people have the right intention. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. Anybody who's doing any research whatsoever can do whatever they want and accept any donations they want. I am not a gatekeeper to that, and I don't think anybody else should be. If someone else out there wants to take donations for the work that they're doing, by all means, do it. People can decide to donate or not. Everyone's got a Venmo, everyone's got a PayPal, everyone's able to accept money if they want for the work that they've put in, and nothing's guaranteed. So with that said, let's just keep an abundance mindset to all of the generous people. And I truly mean this. If put your grievances aside. Well, she said this. Well, this person said that. I am not HR, and I am getting messages from people left and right about things that are going on. Put your grievances aside and look at the real people we're trying to come after, the real deception. We need to be stronger together. And honestly, if Laura's out there watching this go down, she's laughing at the chaos, at the sort of infighting and things like that. You might have been scorned. Someone might have said something mean to you. Someone might have mischaracterized you. Just remember, it's so hard with everyone being anonymous to treat each other as like an equal. And I have a hard time myself because I don't know 99% of the people that are covering these things. I know their screen names, which exist. Someone's Reddit is different than their real name, which is different than their pseudonym. I don't know who people are. So for those that might get offended by me being like, hey, can you guys chill out? Don't take it personally. I have no fucking clue who some people are, and I know they're doing good work. And I'm here to say everyone, can and should be compensated if they want to be through donations. And again, this is probably for only 1% of the listeners, but we need to do a better job with that. All of us. And it's not about who threw the first punch or whatever. It's over. We're done. Let's go back to focusing on the good. The good is rallying together in pursuit of justice. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate all of you. I truly do. And a royal fuck you to anybody out there who's trying to make this situation about something other than what it is, which is getting down to justice. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.